Here is a message for everyone out there. It's time to start being creative and start building your own personal digital assets. Don't get left behind. Elevate yourself above the crowd with your own personal digital assets. Hi everyone, and welcome back to yet another edition of Atomic Ambition, the podcast. I'm so excited that this podcast is still going. It's a passion of mine. I'm really passionate about the books that I'm sharing with you and the things that we're all learning on this journey together. This week we have a slightly different type of book, and it's a book by Daniel Priestley. It's called 24 Assets. So this book is a little bit different because it's aimed at business people, businessmen, people building businesses, whether it's kind of like a lifestyle business or a power business. And 24 Assets is all about building digital assets that help put your business on a good footing for the future. So it's a business book. If you want to be successful in business, it's probably one of the books that you should buy if you want to be a successful business person. So why am I talking about this book today? Well, building digital assets, okay, in my view, and this is what I'm taking from this book. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I kind of work for myself. It would be great to have like, a multi-million-dollar business, but I'm quite happy without that success. But one of the great things that I've taken away from reading this book, and it's the first time I've read this book, by the way. A lot of the other books that we have spoken about, that I've shared with you, they're books I've read many, many times. First time I read this book this year in April 2025. So I've taken from this book that building digital assets, and I won't go into all of the different types of digital assets because some of them are very business focused and not relevant to the individual. But digital assets are a powerful way to build your profile, whether you are an individual or a business. So the one thing that I want to suggest to you guys is to start creating digital assets. Now, what is a digital asset? Well, for example, this podcast that I'm doing, this is a digital asset. It's me expressing my ideas on certain subjects for you guys to consume. It's a digital asset. But another idea of a digital asset, and I've kind of thought about this quite deeply over the past few days. So imagine that you work in sales or marketing, okay, and you land, or you're maybe part of a team that lands a great deal for your company. Now, your company, the business, which is your company, they are probably going to use that deal in their marketing. On their website, one of our greatest customers, XYZ company, they might even create a case study of that business and how that business is using their products or services, which becomes a digital asset for marketing for the business. Now, probably as an individual, and maybe you were a member of the team responsible, maybe you were the lead of that team responsible for landing that deal. In the company's marketing activities, your name will probably not be mentioned because it's not about you, it's about the business, if that makes sense. Yeah, you can go on many companies' websites and look at case studies, and you see the customer being spoken about. Maybe there's one or two key people from the customer who provide quotes, like the chief executive or the chief data officer. They provide quotes, and you see them. But maybe the chief executive of your own business or a senior project manager might also be quoted or be part of that marketing activity. But generally, you as a member of staff, you're not included. So I want you to imagine that situation, okay? But whatever department or job you work in, if you're working in finance, maybe you have somehow secured a great finance deal or helped to secure a great finance deal for the business. Maybe you work in purchasing and you have just negotiated a great purchasing contract, which is potentially going to save thousands, tens of thousands for the business. The idea I want you guys to start thinking about is creating a digital asset. It doesn't have to be an ongoing podcast, but it could just be, a simple A4 document which details your involvement. What were you involved in? What exactly did you do? How did your involvement and your input help achieve this great thing for the business? Now, you can do it in a PowerPoint presentation. You can do it in the form of like an infographic. I mean, if you're using tools like Canva, the opportunities are endless for you. You could write a blog post. You could do a video if you want to. The idea being that if you start creating your own digital assets and sharing your own digital assets throughout your business, that's going to start help to develop or create and develop what I'm calling your personal brand. Now, it doesn't go just with, this doesn't have to just be within your company. You could post these on your professional networking profile on LinkedIn, for example, and help boost your personal profile on LinkedIn as well. So it all goes towards personal branding. And personal branding is one of the key things that I think everybody, you, me, everybody needs to start thinking about. If you haven't started thinking about it already, you should start thinking about creating your own personal brand. The reason I think it's important is because you probably if you work in a large organization, there are perhaps maybe key people within the organization who you're aware of. It's going to be the chief executives, the head of this division, the head of that division. They all have personal brands. You might not be aware of it, but they do have personal brands. There are the ideas that you have about that person and that person's success and what that person brings to the company or any situation. Yeah, we all know of these people. We've all met these people. They seem to be the most successful people. I can guarantee you that if you know of people like that within your company, within your business, where you work, maybe even in your personal life, I guarantee you they have all put some thought into their own personal brand. Look them up on LinkedIn. I bet you'll find that there's lots on LinkedIn about what they've achieved, how they've achieved it, what the results were, yeah, what their particular involvement was. Yeah, did they just lead the team or were they instrumental in solving this client's technical problem? Now, the reason it's important because you want to be like them. Okay, maybe not everybody, but a lot of you want to feel just a little bit of the success that those people have. One of the ways that you can elevate yourself above everybody else is to start creating a personal brand. Now, your personal brand is no good if you do not share it with people. So you can't keep your personal brand secret. Your personal brand has to be shared. So you have to find ways to create assets, but also share them with your colleagues and make sure you share them up the food chain, up the corporate ladder with those people who have influence over perhaps your future career. Okay, so it's a book about business, 24 assets. But I honestly, If you are interested in creating your own personal brand, buy this book, and a lot of it you will be able to sort of ignore because it is business related. But there are a lot of the assets that he talks about. You can use them and you can create them on a personal basis as well. And I highly recommend that you start thinking about this. And even if you just create a plan, let's say you're going to create one personal digital asset every quarter. So that's 4 every year. That's a great start. It's more than probably 95% of the people that you work with. And once you have them, you will find that you, as a person, you will be elevated above everybody else. And that is a great place to be when it comes to opportunities for business, promotions, new exciting projects. If you are elevated above everyone else, then everyone will be thinking about you when the time comes to make a choice about who is going to be involved and who's not going to be involved. Okay, so that is my advice for you guys. And that's what I've taken from 24 Assets from Daniel Priestley. See you all next week.